It's Julia Renee.
And Kendall Aaliyah. Welcome back to the Know Your Power podcast. Now, hello.
Hi.
What's up? Welcome back. Today we're answering questions again. I realized today that we have so many unanswered. Where one of these, I had to delete the beginning because it was referring to an episode. She was like, "Oh, your last episode," and it was like months ago.
Where was this from, though? It's from the outline?
Yeah. So anyway, please keep sending us your questions. I love doing these episodes, and I feel like we always get really specific or really unique cases that can apply to a lot of people.
Yes.
Which I think is useful. Like,
Yes.
I'm pretty sure all of these today, if not most, could probably pertain to anyone at some point in their journey.
We
or at
also have a lot of gym confessions we need to talk about.
Yes, we will be doing one
We
of
got
those
a lot
soon.
of things.
I also do want to do our hate comments one soon because it would be funny. It would be awful for us and we might cry, but it would be really funny in hindsight.
It would be funny if Chloe found them for us and
we had to read them
They were just a
blind.
surprise and we had to guess.
That's I think they do that on
sounds
the
like-
Tonight Show.
Really?
Yeah, they'll bring in celebrities and have them read mean tweets about them. You've never seen those?
That's so mean.
But they're kind of funny. Most of them take them well because imagine the few hate comments we get. If you're an A-list celebrity,
God.
you're getting them all the time, which should not be normal, but sadly is. So for them, some of them were really specific and they do laugh at it. Some of them get fake angry, but usually they laugh at them.
God.
I have to show those to you. They're pretty funny. Dang. But we can recreate that where we're just blindly reading them. I'll just cry. But yeah, anyway, today we were answering your questions. Do you want to read the first one? I could read the first one. I think the third one's the only long one that I'm trying to skip. The rest are short.
That's why you're trying to get me to read it?
Yes. You want to read the
You
first
need to
one,
get
right?
over your fear about reading.
It's honestly not bad here. I think I literally, as I read, morph into 8th grade Kendall, and I'm like, don't mess up, the whole class is watching you. But then I have to remember.
Have your present it up front in front of the class.
Yeah.
The words that no one ever wants to hear.
No, or popcorn reading. My worst
Popcorn
enemy.
reading.
My worst
and
enemy.
you would try to you would okay, if she goes, okay, then he goes. And if I go, that means I'm going to have to read this.
Yeah.
And you start memorizing it.
And really, unfortunately, I was a very friendly person in school. So everyone knew me.
You said
so
unfortunately,
yes.
I was...
So everyone would call on me because they're like, "Oh, Kendall," and I'm like,
Kendall
"Not
will
me,"
do it.
because they thought I was outgoing. I just hated reading.
Dang.
So that's how I was. Anyway, sorry.
Wow.
You can start.
Oh, okay. Hi, ladies. Thanks for all you do and all the great content. Was just wondering if you had any advice on getting over an injury, the mental and physical aspect. I'm 34 and recently found out I have a herniated disc in my low back and is pinching a nerve that causes horrible pain all the way down my leg. They want to do surgery, but I want to try and heal naturally. I absolutely love working out. But now I can't for some time, which has been hard because it is such a great and fun hobby. Thank you for your time, gorgeous girl.
Gorgeous girls.
Thanks, girly.
Injuries are really, really hard, especially when you are in love with working out and you are forced to stop or forced to at least change some of it. Have you ever had in your time in bodybuilding had an injury that fully prevented you from the gym, or you had to take out a certain maybe exercise or type of movement or muscle group?
Didn't I have something that happened this last prep? Wasn't it my back?
Your lower back was bothering you.
Wasn't it my low back?
I like that you blocked it out of your memory.
I right now, I don't remember what it was.
I do remember
Was
your
it my
lower
back?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Did
you have to stop anything?
How did that happen? Kendall, tell me about my.
I don't know.
Tell me about my life.
I just remember.
When did I have that happen?
That was before your first show. I do remember. Yeah.
It was pretty bad.
I feel like it started gradual where you were like, my lower back kind of hurts. And then it became to the point where you were seeing someone for it and getting work done for it.
That's when I started going every week for a massage and the chiropractor, and it did eventually get better. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it wasn't fun, and it could be discouraging, especially when you love going to the gym so much. And then now you know that, okay, I can't push the way that I want to, or I have to pull back on doing some things.
Yeah.
But ultimately knowing that you doing that is going to be the best option for you in the long run. Because if you do continue to push the way that you're feeling, it could make you be out longer.
Yeah. I was going to say the same thing. So like I had gotten ankle surgery when I was like, this was years ago, where I was still like new to the gym, like starting to work out, learning a lot, really excited about it, seeing progress. And I got ankle surgery to the point where I couldn't even like stand or walk on it for like a few weeks. And that was really hard because I started gaining weight. And I was like, well, I just worked so hard on like doing Stairmaster, learning about muscle groups. Like I was a teenager at the time. So it was all fresh and new. And it was really, really discouraging seeing my body change now in the opposite way. And I felt like I was kind of losing control. And I, at that time, obviously didn't realize I still had control over my nutrition and could have taken that seriously since I had to be out of the gym. But as soon as I got cleared for certain things or felt like I was able to do certain things, like I would ride the stationary bike with my boot on, which I know sounds ridiculous, but like moving your body in any way, obviously with no pain. I'm not going to tell you to go hit legs if you have a herniated disc, like you need to rest. But trying to do what you can when you can. If that just means meal prepping, just meal prep. If that means, okay, it doesn't hurt to walk. I can go outside and go for walks. I could walk on the treadmill, like just doing what you're capable of doing and reminding yourself that rest is going to lead to you in the gym sooner, better, stronger.
Exactly. And that even though you can't perform at the level that you were before, this injury that you have might change the way that you have to do things now. And that is still success because like Kendall was saying, you can still be on top of your nutrition. Like, okay, fine. If I can't go to the gym and I can't like destroy my legs anymore, I'm going to be super on point with my nutrition. I'm going to be very on point with my recovery and maybe physical therapy if you need to do that, because she says she wants to do it.
I was going to say that too. If you're not opting for surgery, there are still other like holistic approaches out there. And I know one of my clients had a pretty bad spinal injury and did a lot of like acupuncture and then got back into the gym by doing Pilates because it's so much more low impact than like heavy weight training, deadlifting, squats. So again, just like easing in where you can and trying a bunch of different things to give you pain management so you're able to heal.
And knowing that it's okay, moving your body in the way that you can will ultimately still be a success considering how you feel. That's crazy. Ow. Yeah. First of all, and giving your body that time, because it's our body speaks to us and it's like sometimes screaming at us to, hey, like you stop.
Like
but
recently,
you don't.
Recently I've been trying to like stretch more. I started doing yoga finally after months of being like, I really want to try yoga. And that's because my body needs that on certain days. So listening to your body, recognizing like, okay, you fully cannot weight train right now, but can you stretch? Can you stretch certain things that might actually help you recover faster? Can you see certain specialists? So I hope you recover quickly. I feel like lower back pain is some like the worst because it really does affect upper body training and lower body training. It really does. So I don't know. I'm praying for you. That sounds really painful.
Yeah. I can't even imagine. Owie.
Owie. The next question is, hello, ladies. First, just wanted to say I've recently come across your podcast and listening to it while at work, which I enjoy, and it's very helpful. You ladies are amazing. Thank you. I love when they just glaze us in the beginning. They're like, love you so much. You're amazing. You're a star. I'm like, oh my gosh, thanks.
Stop it. You're so nice.
Okay, I would like to ask, when it comes to losing weight, how to avoid loose skin. One of my goals is to compete in a bodybuilding competition, but I have a lot of weight to lose first, and I'm worried about possibly having loose skin. I would love to basically start training myself as I'm already getting ready for a competition. You know, the fasted cardio, eat healthy, weight training, etc. Oh, we know. But not sure if that will be healthy and will cause the loose skin from, I'm assuming, losing too much weight too fast. Hope that all makes sense. I think it absolutely does. And I've definitely had this concern before for myself, for clients, where I would say my biggest tip, I feel like you already know, is doing things really gradually. So your body has the time to adjust to what you're doing. If you look at someone, I'm just going to make an assumption out here. Okay. This is just a statement. You can typically tell when someone's like on Ozempic because of how fast they lose the weight, because of how their face and skin looks, because they lose it in such a drastic manner.
Isn't it called Ozempic face?
Yeah, it is a thing.
Honestly, you know what? Prep face and Ozempic face are very similar.
Very
that like gaunt,
Yes.
Okay.
And that just comes from losing weight typically too quickly, so that your skin and its elasticity doesn't have time to like keep up with what you're doing. That's why if you see like people who have undergone like weight loss surgery or done really drastic measures, they typically have more loose skin and sometimes have to get procedures for it because of how drastic it was. I think if you do things in a really slow, timely manner, if you know, okay, and we talked about this last episode, I have 30 pounds to lose to step on stage, 40 pounds to lose to step on stage. You need to just start further out. You need to start a pre-prep or like technically your real prep, maybe closer to like 26 weeks out instead of going for like a 16-week prep to give your body more time to adjust. And sometimes it is fully inevitable, where I know some moms who have competed who have maybe had C-sections or just never lost or had lost weight after pregnancy and it created some loose skin. And sometimes it just doesn't go away. And that doesn't take away from your muscle mass. That doesn't take away from your ability to still step on a stage.
Yeah, I think the most common thing that I hear is from a lot of moms too, because it's just wild, like how their body, and eventually someday we're going to experience this too. But like, for example, my mom, she had 4 kids.
Same with my mom.
And apparently I was the biggest one. Okay.
I was the biggest
I was a bodybuilder in the making.
Dude, I was huge. For the moms out there, I was almost 11 pounds. I was 10 pounds, 7 ounces, 10 pounds, 6 ounces. Like, I was big. I was a big girl.
I was like 9. I thought that was the biggest one.
And you guys have seen my mom, maybe, if you've watched that episode.
Her mom's 5'1",
tiny.
5'2".
I feel so bad for her. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, but like my mom had 4 kids. How many? Your mom had 4 kids. Like they stretched their body back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Like, so of course, like there might be some extra skin, and there are a lot of times where you lose all of the weight that you can, and sometimes it just doesn't go away. Like you can do all of the things and stretching. Sometimes like it don't come back exactly how it does, maybe like the first time or even the second time. I know that you'll see like there's a lot of girls on Instagram, that are like baby momfluencers and stuff, and they're always talking about the like, look how I came back, and I'm like, that's awesome. I know it's not the case for everybody, and I'm also curious because like we also don't have kids yet, so we haven't gone through the process with the body.
I think a lot of pregnancies
is it
are
harder
different.
each time to come back, like to quote unquote come back? I've
also heard it can be reliant on like how you deliver. That's why some people opt for natural deliveries, is sometimes like your abdominal wall. Like I've heard many things from a lot of my clients who are mothers or who I've trained pre and postpartum. And it's just different for everyone is the ultimate thing. And the same with just like general large weight loss in general. Like you're gonna have different results. Like someone might lose the same amount as you to step on stage, and they might have loose skin and you might not, or vice versa, where every body is different, and it just, every outcome is going to be different. If you are serious and like have a lot of concern around it, they call it like the mommy tuck something, where if you do have loose skin after pregnancy or from large weight loss, there are surgeries. That feels really drastic, but that is the thing. If it is something that like is extremely self-conscious to you and something you want to do, there's certain like creams out there too and stuff like that. I don't know how legit a lot of those are. Like
there's a lot of natural remedies and things that people have like come out about, but there is like a certain level of, I guess, skin where it's like, okay, no matter how much of these things you're going to do, this is still going to stay there. We don't know what your journey has looked like. We don't know like how much body fat that you're currently carrying, but I understand like with bodybuilding having that concern as well. But if you have done like all of the things, you know, dieted slowly and safely, and you're still like, okay, it's still here. We're all about do what makes you feel the most confident, you know? If it's ends up being, okay, maybe if I hit this certain weight, I'm going to have like the little, you know, mommy tuck, or I'm going to have, you know, some of the skin. If that's what makes you feel
That sounds
good.
painful.
You know?
I was going to say too, because you're saying you want to start training like for a competition by yourself. If you can get a coach, I would recommend it. Just making sure you're doing things healthy and gradually, because like we were saying also last episode, is sometimes we're our hardest critic and we feel the need to drop lower than we really should be at. And that might cause to like too much weight loss too fast, which first off is not good for a long prep because it's not healthy and sustainable, but also can cause more loose skin faster.
Very true.
Yes. My heart goes out to you though. And I feel like it's one of those things you won't know until you do it, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah.
So just try to do all the things.
I've had a lot of questions from people asking about loose skin, cellular or stretch marks, and how it's judged like on stage. I've had a lot of questions about that too. And that's honestly, I don't know the answer to that question.
I don't either. I feel like stretch marks.
You can't see them.
Yeah.
I have them from
Me too.
bulking, cutting.
That's what I was about to say. And once you have the tan and the light and like the gloss and everything, stretch marks shouldn't be a concern at all. I've definitely seen competitors with like loose skin around their abdomen who still place really high, because if you have a great physique, you have a great physique. I'm sure it affects something with judging, but we're not judges. We wouldn't know. And we haven't personally gone through that right now. So we also wouldn't know that. So it doesn't hurt to like talk to some coaches out there, get feedback from them. If you, a lot of the time it is body dysmorphia where it's really not as bad as we're visualizing it ourselves. So yeah, I would say just talk to everyone you can, get some like in-person feedback if possible.
Yeah, and be like, okay, if this was the case, what do you think is going to happen? Like when I go on stage, like, is this possible? Is this even something that I should be worried about? And hopefully your coach will be kind and honest at the same time.
Yes.
Okay, this next one says, my question revolves more around coaching and becoming a certified personal trainer. I've been, sorry, I had a fluffy on my phone, into fitness and working out for the past 5 years. I don't do any kind of exercise science background, and I've been wanting to learn more about training, so I decided to start my CPT process. This way I would learn also becoming certified. I know I still have a long way to go, and learning comes from experience of working with clients. I'm a bit nervous because it seems like anyone can ask ChatGPT to create a workout for them.
Not Chad.
And the Chad, my good old Chad, a workout for them, and the industry's general seems oversaturated. Yeah, I get that. Do you have any tips on how I can get a CPT career
For those
going?
who don't know, that's certified personal training.
Do you think not having an exercise science background could affect getting clients, and have been the toughest hardships you've experienced as a coach? Jesus.
Are you okay?
No, because I'm trying, like, in my head when I read these, I'm like, okay, don't forget this, don't forget this, because there's multiple questions in this one, but this is a really good question. I've even thought about volunteering my services. I enjoy working out and also love helping people, so I thought I'd combine the two. Appreciate any tips or advice. I love that. Okay, let's start
great question.
with the first question. Do you have any tips on how I can get her CPT career going? I think we kind of went two different routes with ours. Like, it's like,
we can each talk about kind of what we did though.
Yours was, you started with
Very
in-person,
traditional.
and mine was started online.
Yeah, so I kind of am in the same boat, sounds like, as what you are, where I was really getting into, the listener, not you, sorry, I should address these correctly. As the person who wrote in, where I was getting really into the gym, I really loved it, I really wanted to learn more about it and start helping people. So in the combination of those two, I was like, well, let's start by getting my certification and applying at a gym. So my first job ever, I had gotten I I want to say it was NCCPT certification, which is not one of like the big 5 or even big 10 that people get, but it was the only place that would accept me at 17 years old. Aww. I called all of them. You have to be 18 to be a certified personal trainer typically, but they let it go through anyway. And I was turning 18 soon, so I like really tried working my way around it. And Lifetime also typically doesn't hire anyone under 18, but they took a risk on me, which I appreciate. So I was a certified trainer at Lifetime. That was my first job ever. And then from there, I continued getting CEUs, which is like continuous education, because I was like, oh, okay, a lot of the stuff I learned from like the traditional CPT certification, I already knew. It's a lot of like basic hypertrophy training and where the body parts are and stuff like that. So I was like, well, I want to like expand who I can take on as clients. So I've since gotten ACE. I'm just throwing these out there for like anyone who actually cares and wants to get into it. These were just like the specialties I chose. ACE, pre and postnatal training, ACE, I think it was ACE fitness nutrition, and then a NASM corrective exercise. That's what it is, which is for people coming back rehabilitating from injuries. So I just chose to get a bunch of certifications. I also thought at 17, I needed all of these credentials to back me up to get me clients, because if you don't have like and you'll talk about your route, but like a platform and an online presence to get online clients, I felt like I had to like prove myself in a different way. And that was through getting a bunch of certifications. So that's definitely one route you could take. You could apply for gyms. Sometimes gyms will even pay for your certifications. But you absolutely need to be certified to be an in-person trainer legally, versus online coaching is different because you provide different things. So I don't think you need as many or any at all technically to be an online coach versus like an in-person personal trainer.
Yeah. So but I feel like the benefit to doing in person, maybe because of the client aspect of it too, because like you already have a gym, like that, like a bunch of people
you're there.
you're like, people. Hey, I'm here and I have a service. So like, and people are coming in. So that I feel like that could be a benefit to doing that as well. I would say
start at a gym, even if you plan on going off on your own or doing online or anything. If you're brand new to this, starting at a gym gets you around other trainers too. Use them, like ask them all the questions, sit in on some of their sessions. I learned so much because most of the trainers there were like 5-10 years older than me. So I got to learn a lot really early on, and how to onboard a client, how to engage with them, how to get a new client, get them to sign, what like signing up seems like, making programs, like all of that. I don't think I would have learned if I wasn't sitting there next to these trainers.
And then mine's like completely different, to where I almost went that route. Like I was this close to doing it. And then I actually got into like a group of basically fitness people in Austin, and almost all of them were online. Like they were doing online training, and I was like, this is so weird. Like, I don't know what this is. And I was around a bunch of people that's how they did it. And I was already building a social media at the time. So I was like, okay, could this be the route that I do it? And it ended up being what worked best for me. And
I feel like you have to find what you like too. Because like, I love my in-person clients. It's so fun for me. I do,
like, for me, miss sometimes, like, it's very rare that I get to train with any of my clients in real life. But whenever I do, like at the Know Your Power retreats or any of the seminars like that we've put on, I'm like, oh, I miss this.
It's fun.
I think I do enjoy more group training rather than the person to person. I think I did it. There was one time that I offered it when I was working at the salon. I was kind of transitioning from being a hairstylist into a coach, and I offered it one time to she was a hair client, and then also like my fitness client, and I really didn't like it. I didn't like it. Like I like more of the hype from like the group aspect of it, but like one-to-one, I was just like, so
I did.
How's your day?
At Lifetime, I did their small group training too. And if I stayed at Lifetime, they had asked me to become like the manager of the small group training, because I I really enjoyed it. I was good at it. I don't love huge classes. I could definitely not instruct like
I couldn't
30
be like
people.
that. No, I'm not hype enough for that.
That's not my personality at all. But small group training was great, where I'd on average have like 3 to 10 people. And I would like write out their workout on the whiteboard. So like just finding what you want to do first off as your specialty. Do you want to be in person? Do you want to be online? That's all really important. Utilizing social media, utilizing word of mouth. Like once I got my clients, it only ever became referrals. Like I stopped advertising, and now I don't even take on new in-person clients. Like I would maybe consider it with certain people, but like for the most part, like my bookings are closed on that front. So that's really getting started. And I would say, to answer your second question, do you think not having an exercise science background would affect me getting clients? Not at all. You can fully prove yourself and build rapport in other ways. Julia is the face, you know, like your physique is proof enough that you know what you're doing. You've been doing this long enough. You've built this platform. That is like your credentials. That's your rapport. For me in the beginning, now it's similar, but in the beginning I was also like, just get all these certifications, like you just want to build enough knowledge where first off, you're secure in what you're teaching people. Because if you feel that imposter syndrome and like you're not that sure, that definitely like reads through sometimes. So just gaining knowledge so that you genuinely have it, but also as that rapport of like, see, I kind of know what I'm talking about. And that can be a social media platform, that can be a physique, that can be credentials, that could be a bachelor's degree in exercise science. Like it's different for everyone. And it isn't like one person will get all the clients and you're not deserving of them because you don't have a degree or whatever. You know?
Definitely. Like at the beginning, I was like, why would anybody listen to me? Like I wasn't as young as you when I started, but I was like, why would anybody listen to me? Why would anybody care? I'm just living my doodad life, you know? And then the more like social media started to pick up and stuff, and then I started taking it to an even more level and learning even more about everything. And even like the bodybuilding aspect of it too, and just like how different that kind of coaching is in comparison to just like training someone in person or like regular fat loss. Like it was something that comes with time. So deciding, okay, do I want to do in person, maybe for a coach, you know, doing it online, growing your social media? Is that something that groups that even excites you? Even maybe sort of like a group. It's just there is a lot of different routes that you can go to, and I just knew that the one that I chose, I was like, okay, this is the right one for me. And how I like ultimately wanted to live my life, because I wanted to have more control over. I didn't want anyone telling me what to do.
That's fair.
You know what I mean?
That's why I left gyms pretty fast.
Like I didn't like, I don't know. And they take a part of your money.
Oh yeah.
Like
they take a lot too. So that's why I say I recommend starting at the gym if you're going to do in person, just to learn. I think I was at Lifetime for less than a year. And then I very quickly started my own in-home training business. And I just like advertised through like Facebook and like local ads and like, even like the neighbor app or whatever it's called, where you can see people in your area. Like I just put it everywhere, and that's how I got people. And then again, like word of mouth and stuff. And don't let like oversaturation, quote unquote,
it's like that in every industry. I thought the same thing too when I first started. And what's going to draw people to you is you. You know, for example, like someone could train, say me and Kendall are both like personal trainers. Someone could train with me, and someone can train with Kendall. They might not like me. They might not like, okay, like maybe I didn't like that workout, or maybe we didn't vibe as well. Or maybe they go to Kendall and they're like, that's the kind of support that I want more. I think I like that workout a little bit better. Maybe and vice versa, you know? So it's like
different people.
You can always use, that's like too saturated that I'm not going to do it. But you're unique because there's no one else that's like you.
I felt that way a lot because I'm not really like a like a hard ass coach, if that makes sense. Like I'm very gentle in everything I do, I feel.
I'm
so
like, you're being a pansy.
Yeah, like you'll never catch me yelling at a client unless they literally ask me to, or unless I'm hyping them up in like a positive, like, you got this kind of way. And I thought that was a weakness as a personal trainer. And I can tell you, I have pretty 50-50 on female and male clients. And I have had conversations with them now where I'm like, what made you either sign with me or like what were you looking for in a trainer in general? And a lot of them like didn't want that boot camp style. They were like, that intimidated me. I didn't want a male trainer because they scare me. Like I wanted someone to be honest with me, which I will always be, but be more gentle. So just finding like your niche and your people, and they will come. Like if there's a market for literally anyone, just like market to your strengths, you know? And then I think the last question was like, what was our toughest hardships during like our experience as a coach? I would say for me, it was that imposter syndrome in the beginning. I think I just like really sold myself short. I didn't charge enough money. I think I was like doing in-home personal training. So you have to consider this isn't just like an hour of my time. This is driving places, like meeting with them sometimes every single day, driving back home. Like that's at least like 2 hours, that whole like rotation. And I think I was charging like $55 an hour when I started. And now I charge like double, if not triple that. And I just didn't know my worth. I was like, no one's going to pay $100 for me to come train them. But in reality, like that's how much services typically cost. So like selling myself short, imposter syndrome, getting in my head, getting really anxious meeting people, which I think is funny now on the flip side, because like, if anything, you as the trainer, like the client is usually the nervous one.
True.
Like this is a big step for them and they're inviting you into their space. And I think now like walking into any meeting, new or old client, I'm way more sure of myself because I'm like, you're here for a reason and I'm here to help you, instead of being like, I hope they like me and I hope they sign up with me, and like putting too much stress on that like first interaction. Those were my hard parts.
I think for me, it was, I guess, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like if the online aspect, the thing that was the hardest. I think it was more so like the logistics of, okay,
Fair.
I know how to do this.
Yeah.
I know how to, I know how to program people. I know how to do that, you know, because I learned, I'm educated, but the technical aspect of it, of like, okay, if I'm going to do this online and you know, how are they going to pay me? What software am I going to use?
How do I tell them what to do?
How do I want to communicate with them? So like I went through a bunch of different evolutions of how like we run the business now. Yeah. And it started off by, you know, doing some and then realizing, okay, there's a better way of doing it. And, you know, that's a whole nother, that's a whole other episode. And those are the things that like, I honestly hate. But it's necessary. And now the system that we use for everything, oh my God, it's amazing. Yeah. And everything runs so smooth and we have a clear way of communicating with our clients and stuff. But before it was just like, okay, I want to do this, but how? Like what I was doing before was, okay, I like they had my personal phone number. Nobody has my personal phone number now. And I would like text them what they were going to do and like this and that. I did too. You know, and or I would make like a little PDF, you know, and then I would just like send them the PDF and text it to them and stuff. And then some of them were like through Instagram, where it was just like, it was all over the place.
I used to like Google Doc for everything and just send it to people, and I stopped doing that a few years ago now.
And there's still
but
like,
nothing's wrong with that either.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, but it was very disorganized. Like if you find a system that you like and that works, like
stick with it,
nail it down. Yep. And mine was just like, I have something over here. So I think it was that stuff, like the boring parts about the job.
That's understandable. I feel like I actually have always really liked the business side of things for some reason. Where it's definitely hard, like making a website and all of that was like nerve-wracking and like the fear of doing something wrong. But I mean, you already mentioned Chad. So use ChatGPT like anywhere you can to help you in starting this, or like help you find systems that would work for you.
And also like you ask. Like if the, just like Kendall was saying about the trainers, I have some girls that are in my DMs that ask me like, well, how did you create your business and what do you do?
Oh, I'll give pointers all day long.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
this is what I use. This is what I like. This is what I don't like, because I'm like, I don't want you to have to go through all of the stupid BS that I had to,
sure.
all the mistakes and stuff. I'm like, this is what I use.
Yeah.
So ask.
We're happy to help.
Yeah.
Okay, last question is, hi guys, your podcast is the only thing that gets me through my working week. Oh, love it, guys. I just have a question. I was diagnosed with PCOS about 6 months ago and just turned 30. It used to be so easy for me to lose weight and gain muscle, but the past year I've been really struggling a lot with my body and just how I feel. The doctors are no help, and I unfortunately do not have the money for a coach as they are so expensive. Your podcast helps me so much with how I feel, as a lot of people go through the same stuff. I was just hoping you could give some advice for a girl who just wants to get lean again and find herself with PCOS. Thank you. This is surprisingly common.
It's probably one of the most common things that I hear.
And it's something that goes undiagnosed so frequently. And it is a shame that you feel like your doctors are no help. My biggest tip was going to be find a doctor who can and will listen to you and try to give you recommendations. So some of the biggest things that come with PCOS is just hormonal imbalances. So I've definitely had clients in the same position where maybe they are losing weight for a while and then they'll plateau and they'll hit that plateau hard and nothing will change for a while. And I know that can be really frustrating, but it's just about listening to your body in those times and giving it what it needs. Where sometimes it feels like pushing harder, more cardio, less food is like gonna be the answer, but sometimes like kind of taking your foot off the gas a little and giving your body rest and allowing your hormones to have time and energy and fuel to regulate is sometimes what you need. Not saying like a forever very long-term diet break is going to be the answer, but if you have never tried that and you've been trying to diet like all year and nothing is working, that's definitely something to explore. A few other things as far as like balancing carbs and fats. Most people with PCOS, this is just a general statement, work better with like pretty moderate to high fats and more like moderate to low carb. Not saying that's going to work for everyone, but play around with how your macros and meal plan is structured just to see like, does your body respond to lower carbs? Maybe you've never tried that. Maybe you've always been high carb, low fat, like just switching up the plan to see how that feels and staying with it long enough to see if it makes a difference. Mm-hmm. Do you have any tips?
I would say that like whenever I first started with my coach and I went into like the off season, like from what he said, he was like, based off of your blood work, he's like, there's a chance that this has been a problem for a little bit now and you didn't even know.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. And we spent like, I can't even tell you like all of the different things that, and I can't even pinpoint exactly what it was. I think it was a number of things. Like I went through a period of time where I did more of a Mediterranean diet to where I had, I'd say like moderate protein, a little bit higher in fats, and the food choices were very different than what I was normally eating. It was honestly kind of fun though.
Yeah.
And then after that, he called it like a flush, to where I was drastically eating different foods than I was normally doing, and then after that, man, I also got off of my birth control, which also contributed to
that throws off hormones
the weight fluctuation and the stall, and how I just felt like in my body, because I had been, pumping some hormones into my body for a very long time and then getting off of it. Yeah. It took my body, I want to say on average, anywhere from 4 to 6 months to get back to what I thought would be my baseline.
Yeah.
And that was a really like long process to go through all of those things, but ultimately it ended up leading to this past year, to where my blood work now is great. Now my body is responding really, really well. Like I got my period back like a lot faster, and my periods are less intense and painful. And it's been kind of 2 years of all of this stuff. And
did you actively
wow.
do anything besides like looking into like your food and macros and food sources that you felt like really helped you? Were there like any certain supplements or any certain like amount of rest days or anything like that?
I would say for me, it was a lot of like the nutrition, making sure that I would say maybe 6 months, I was getting some blood work done. And what I do want to say is that I'm very thankful that I had my coach to walk me through all of this, because it is very confusing. And there's a lot of times where I'm like, my coach knows my body better than I do. And it was stuff like that. And a lot, like weirdly too, the supplement that helped me the most was chasteberry.
Oh.
And it's really, really incredible. I don't know like too much about it, but it is really good
Go do your research.
for those kinds of like symptoms. And there was like a vial that I would take, and then there's let me see. I stopped taking it because honestly, like I didn't need to anymore. But I shared it on my YouTube. I'm trying to think of the brand. I think it might be Euthenix. No, it started with an N. It's like N Euthenix. I don't know.
I feel like I can picture it, but I don't know the name of that brand. But I feel like I know what you're talking about.
But I was taking that consistently during that period of time, and there's a couple of other things, but I can't remember.
There's one that I've heard of just from my clients with PCOS. I don't have it, so I feel very naive talking about it, but I also know how common it is. And I do know like all of the basics as far as like hormonal imbalances, sometimes insulin resistance. So like another thing with food is like pairing your carbs with protein so that your body can digest it without spiking your insulin, like little things like that, where maybe if this is a brand new diagnosis, you don't know yet. And if your doctor's not helping you, it's like, how else are you going to find out? So like definitely utilizing like Google, finding like chat rooms on like a Facebook or an Instagram where there's influencers out there I know who like specialize in these things and talk about their experience. So learning from other people for sure. Anyway, I had to Google it because I don't know how to say it. I think it's called inositol. It's typically found in like cycle support type of supplements. It's just a compound of different vitamins, supplements, minerals that are supposed to help aid you leading up to and during your period. But if there is something like that you could take more regularly to maybe just make your symptoms like a little less, I would definitely recommend that. They also do recommend like vitamin D and omega-3s for anyone who has PCOS, just making sure that you're having these things that your body might be lacking in, because being deficient in things does make muscle gain and weight loss harder.
Yeah.
So we don't want to be deficient.
Chasteberry. I always think that I'm saying it wrong. I'm like, is it chasteberry?
I like feel so dumb trying to pronounce any supplements ever. So.
Yes, that's what I took. And then also
similar to what I just recommended.
Exactly. Yeah. It is very similar. When you were reading it, I was like, yeah, that sounds very, very similar. So I was very consistent with taking that. And, there was points where I was like, nothing is getting better. Like, I feel like I'm doing all of the things, and this is very, very frustrating. And after getting my blood work back recently, like that's what my coach was talking about, I think in the last episode, was like before I was having a lot of those symptoms where it was affecting my weight loss and I was stalling and I didn't know what to do. And the step process of that was diet changes. I'm not telling you to get off your birth control. I'm not saying that. Getting a non-hormonal birth control and then being consistent with chasteberry as one of the supplements. There were a couple of other ones that I was taking in combination with those, and I'll put them on our story too. Yeah. And what I can tell you is that after doing all of those things, I'm obviously not guaranteeing anything for anybody because everyone's different.
They might help someone.
I got my blood work back this past time, and coach is like, this is amazing. All of the work that we have done for the past like year and a half to 2 years, like it's paying off, and your body is finally my body is now responding to what we give it.
Yeah.
Because it can be very frustrating to where you're in a caloric deficit. You are moving your body a lot. And scientifically, you should be losing weight.
Yeah.
Especially if you're on point and you're not. So that's when it's like, okay, what else is going on?
Yeah.
You kind of like, okay, I want some confirmation that I'm not crazy.
Yeah, it is kind of nice getting a diagnosis sometimes for something like this, because sometimes you feel like it is just you and you're like, maybe I'm not working hard enough, or maybe my body just doesn't respond to these types of things, when in reality, when you are diagnosed with something like PCOS or like similar, realizing it is out of your control. It is all up to your hormones typically and how your hormones feel like responding that day, which is some BS, but that is sometimes life as a woman. And if you can't get help through a traditional doctor, looking at holistic approaches or getting blood work done on your own and doing research based on the results that they say, and finding like some people on social media, whether it's someone you can connect with and talk to about your symptoms, or just like an influencer, if we can find any, I feel like we could try to tag them. I've definitely had people come up on my feed who talk about like how they feel during different parts of their cycle and how it affects weight loss, and when they know when to push and when they know when to like kind of take back and take more rest.
There's also coaches that specialize in this specifically, like, and it would be awesome too to have somebody that has like been through it to coach you, so that you can be like, okay, like I feel a little bit better, like knowing that this person has also been through it and they've come out the other side.
Yeah.
And it can be very comforting.
Yeah. Not going through it alone is definitely like the best choice if possible.
Yeah. And it's also like something to consider too, like very kind of genetic, you know, like my mom has had a lot of struggles as well. So it was always something that I kind of had at the top of my mind, that this could maybe show up for me as well, maybe for my little sister too. And with that, like knowing and awareness, I was like, oh, okay, well.
That's true. Conversations with those people too, because like while I haven't been diagnosed with PCOS, I did have ovarian cysts since I was 12 years old. And so did my mom. And so did her sister, and so did like her sister's daughter. So it's just about like talking to those people and understanding like this is happening already for me, but it was like, this is going to be something that I'm going through that they've already been through. So like having those people to talk to about like, did you ever feel this way? And like, did you do anything, take anything, try anything, and what helped? Because odds are if it is like a blood relative and they went through the same thing and something worked for them, I would try that first, because it's going to probably work for you.
I remember like the first time that I got on birth control was because I was actually having like a pain like right here.
Yeah.
Sorry,
like
we're on
ovary.
the podcast. It's like right like to the left of my hip bone.
Yeah.
And it was persisting. And my mom, because of, you know, everything that she had been through, she took it really, really seriously. And she was like, okay, let's go to the doctor. Ended up getting like a scan, and it turned out that nothing was there. And their response, I guess now, looking was, let's just put her on birth control.
I was put on birth control at 12 years old because of my cyst. It's crazy that is like, that's
it was
why
like there was nothing there. The scan said, so there were, what they could have done is just, there's nothing there. Like it could be these other things.
It is a quick fix for a lot of things.
Could have been a hernia because I was training like a maniac back then. Like, don't know. But it was like, it's been on birth control.
Yeah. They really love doing that to young girls.
Shut up, you know. Oh, man.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, good luck to you in your journey.
And it's so common. It's so common.
Yes, you're not alone. And it is, I would say, again, like reassuring. She said that she like recently turned 30, and like some people don't find out that they have this thing, or maybe have had this thing for this long until we're like a little later into adulthood, and we like feel like we fully understand our body. And then it's kind of like a curveball of like, oh, that's why I have felt that way all of those years.
Yeah. You kind of just like get used to it, and it becomes like your new normal. And then when you are on the other side, you're like, oh, this is what I could have been feeling like.
So
wow.
be grateful in the sense that like you now have a little bit of answers and can do research based on this diagnosis. So yeah.
Very, very true. Well,
that's all we got.
Hope you guys enjoyed. And as always, we love you all so much and you're more powerful than you think.
Bye.